Hello, my lovely friends. This is Marta. Welcome back. Today I have this fun video where I want to share with you three different recipes for the homemade embossing paste. Now I have three different color papers because I won't be testing them all just to see how the color looks like, whether it's looking nice on the white cardstock and how it's behave on the black one. So just so we could have the comparison, I'm gonna be using a couple of the ingredients and to create my three different recipes, but it doesn't mean that you need to have it all. It's just something to give you an option so you could use whatever you have in your craft room. I'm pretty much ready that you may have all of them, maybe not the baby powder, but if you don't, this is something you can buy in any supermarket or pharmacy, or most of the shops they will have it, and it's very inexpensive. So for my first paste, I'm using this all-purpose filler, and this is also something I've bought in the supermarket. You don't really need to go to any specific like a building store or something like that, and they come in the tabs or little like a toothpaste packaging as well. You can buy a smaller portion. I've just bought 750 grams because that was on a very good offer. I think it was £2 for a whole tub. And for the second paste, I've used the gesso, and the third one I am mixing the paint with the PVA glue, and I'm using the ratio 2 to 3. So for 2 spoons of the paint, I had 3 spoons of the PVA glue, and all of them now I am gonna be thickening them up with the baby powder. And here you can see I am mixing them, and make sure, if you would like your paste to keep its shape nicely, just make sure you will really make it thick. It's not like a batter that should be runny. It should be so thick that once you stir it, you can actually see the paste is holding its form. And here I've made a little mess, and I'm mixing them up. And this one with the PVA glue, it was being a little bit like a gooey, I would say. So I wasn't sure whether this one will be work, but I just wanted to try, and I wanted to see comparison whether they're gonna have different finish once they dry, whether any of them will be crumbling or they're gonna be holding the cardstock nicely. So once I stir them up, at first I've started recording the video in a real time and then just do a little talk on over what I was doing. But then I just thought like, no, it's gonna be far too long. You don't want me to spend 10 minutes stirring the containers. So that's why I speed it up. Now here I've just grabbed the pen and just write it down, so I have this I'll be for sure where I'm putting each paste. So I've used the all-purpose filler, gesso, and paint with PVA. So that's the 3 recipe, and each one of them I'm mixing up with the baby powder. I will put it down in the description down below, so if anyone would like to check it later on, definitely just have a look on the description, and all recipes will be written down there. I am grabbing quite a few of the stencils, but the purpose of that is I want to see how the texture paste is looking on the different through the different stencils, and I'm also trying to save myself time to clean them up in between switching the color of the cardstock, so that way I can just play with all of them, and once I finish I will wash them and dry them. Now here I am adding a little bit of the paste to the credit card, and then I am just switching the area. So each time I'm using a different corner of the stencil, so I don't have the cross-contaminate the product in between them. And what I've noticed here, when I went to the PVA paste, it was a little bit runny, so I add a little bit extra bit of the baby powder. I would not tell you how much exactly. I didn't measure anything in the grams, but this is just something you kind of like creating a pancake mix. You just stir and you just see whether consistency is right, and if not, if it's not thick enough, you can then add a little bit more. So here on the craft color cardstock, they all looking really nice and beautiful. And then for the second card, this is a black cardstock I'm using here. I'm adding a really thick layer here. The first one I just did kind of a medium thickness. It wasn't either thin or thick, but this one I am just very making sure I give it this nice dimension, because I want to see how it would look like when it will dry. And I'm adding each time in between, I'm adding a new paste. I am cleaning up this little card and I'm using the different part of the stencil. So here you can see I've got this black, and now let's make something on the white color paper, and this will give you also the comparison with the color. None of them went through white, like this really nice white color. Once you set them against the white cardstock, you can see that they are a little bit more cream color finish. They're not super white, but for the purpose of handmade paste, it's definitely, you know, it's cost next to nothing, because if you will consider the price of each of the elements, I think the gesso one was the most expensive one, but even though the big tub of the gesso cost me £5, so this will just make a tons of the texture paste, and I only use like one little spoon out of it. So definitely something worth trying, definitely something which you can experiment and extend your supplies, extend the use of your supplies. Now I've decided to create also a batch of the color texture paste as well. So for that I'm using this little rinker, but there's so many different things you can use to color your paste. You can use the re-inkers, you can use ink sprays, you can just spray a little bit, you can use the paint, you can use gelatos, for example. To mix up gelatos, what you can do, you can add a little bit of the gelato to your glass mat, and then just scoop out your paste and mix it up together. Or if you don't want to make a mess on your glass mat, what you can do, grab yourself a thick piece of the cardstock, laminate it so you have this nice slick surface, and use it as your mat for mixing up your colors. And this way you can use the you can use your gelatos, you can use the markers, you can use ink pad. So just squish, tap twice or three times on the surface, and then scoop out the paste and mix it up nicely together. And this gives you the possibilities here are endless. Whatever coloring medium you have, you basically will be able to use it to color your texture paste. So this will give you this nice beautiful look, and you can do whatever you want to with them. Now, so here I am just cleaning up my card, and I'm going back again. I will do the same thing with my color paste, just to see how they looks like once they dry. And I will leave all these three papers to to dry overnight, just to see whether they're gonna be crumbling, how they're gonna be behaving. And here, unfortunately, I used this stencil, and this purpley part was touching the other design which I had made earlier, so that will be a little bit uneven, but I will show you that on a close-up photo as well. But in overall, they all perform really well. One thing I want to tell you, my friends, there are some difference, and I will show you that in a second, but they all did really well. And no matter which one of the ingredients you have, if you've got the baby powder, if you've got gesso or filler or PVA glue and paint, you can mix up yourself and make this really nice, inexpensive, budget-friendly texture paste. And what is important is that instead of making a big batches, like sometimes we buy the container of the texture paste and we don't use it for a very long time and they dry out, here you can just basically create only teeny tiny bit amount, and just anytime you're gonna be using it, you can mix up a little batch and create it. So, hello my lovely friends, back again. It's next day morning and I give it a proper time to dry. So let me just quickly tell you what have I noticed if it comes to comparing those recipes. They all work well and they all will be looking just fine. However, there is a small details which I wanted to share with you. This is the all-purpose filler mixed up with the baby powder, and this is very sharp looking design. The Gesso one, it has a little bit bleed, which you can see here that the it's been a little bit bleeding, but it's not really excessive. It will be more visible on the color cardstock. And what I found looking really interesting, the paste which was mixed with the PVA glue, it all has its edge rounded. I've touched this one, so it's looking crinkled because I've placed the paste on top of that. But if you look here, you can see it's perfectly like very soft looking in comparison to these two. I hope that camera is catching it right. Now let me just quickly show you back again on the craft color cardstock, and then here, this is the all-purpose filler, and this one is the sharpest one. The results are really sharp on this paste. Then we've got the second one, which is the gesso, and this is what I was showing you and letting you about. This has got a teeny tiny bit of the bleed. It's not really much, but as you can see here, it's coming off. This is a super clean and sharp look, and this one has this little bit bleeding. And then the paste, which has the PVA glue on it, it's got this nice round, almost like a puffy round color result, which is interesting, and I think it's a much softer, nicer look. But as a color, they all look the same. They all have this matte finish. And then let me just quickly show you the last one. This is the black, very clean and very dimensional. This all-purpose filler is definitely keeping up dimension, and it's keeping up the shape really beautifully. This one is upside down, but it's just for a purpose to see. And here you can see how the gesso, just the gesso with the powder, is having a little bit bleed around, so the text is not super clean and it's kind of is soaking to the paper. And then the paste with the PVA glue, it's got this soft round edge, and it's almost like a little bit puff, like a with the embossing powder. It's got this round shape. So I hope you can see it here in comparison to here. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video and this brings you some value, and if it did, please don't forget to say hi in a comment, to share the video, give it a like. That will help me really much. I will be coming back with another video for the cards with scraps, and then I have a couple more to post as well. So I hope to see you shortly. Have a wonderful day, and bye bye.